Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first video of mine that you are seeing. And if you are new, my name is Julia Kelsey. I am 25 years old and I live in Orlando, Florida. I have a budgeting and money management coaching business that I started on Instagram and have just recently brought to YouTube as well. And this is where I share with others that budgeting and money management can be simple and actually enjoyable, and show others and help them get to the place where they're easily accomplishing their financial goals while also being able to spend and live the life that they enjoy at the same time. So today's video is going to be all about financial goals. I'm going to share with you what my 2021 financial goals were and kind of how they changed throughout the year and whether or not I reached them, as well as share with you my 2022 financial goals and how I'm breaking down the yearly goal into smaller monthly goals as well. So let's start with my 2021 financial goals. So the first goal on my list actually wasn't on my list at the beginning of 2021. It was something that I actually realized I was really close to hitting, a milestone I was really close to hitting, maybe close to halfway through the year, and that's when I decided to add it to my list. And that would be hitting a positive net worth. So I do have fairly large student loans, and that has always brought down my net worth. So it's been negative since I started tracking it, but I realized about halfway through the year, with being really aggressive and investing in my retirement and then also being aggressive with paying off those loans, that I think I realized when I was at about the negative 10K mark that I was making really fast progress and that I might be able to reach positive net worth by the end of that year. So I decided to add that to my list of financial goals, and I actually made it my priority for the second half of the year so I could be aggressive with it and know that I would hit it. And I actually was able to reach this one. So I went back and looked at where I started the year at. So for 2021, my starting net worth was negative $30,000, and I ended 2021 with a positive net worth, and it actually was a little more positive than I imagined it getting to. So I was able to get to a positive net worth of $2,500. And just because I find it interesting, I wanted to look at what like the significant factors of this more than $30,000 increase was. And just as a reminder, the calculation for net worth is assets minus liabilities, or the things you own minus the things you owe. So those are the two sides of the formula, and those were the two sides that I was looking at. So I had one asset that really increased, so that increased my net worth overall, and then I had one liability that really decreased. So the main factor of increasing my assets was increasing my retirement investment. So my only retirement investment at the moment is my 401k, and between contributions and then just the growth in the market, my 401k was able to grow by about $18,000. So that was a significant factor playing into the increase of my net worth. And then the main component of decreasing my liabilities was decreasing my student loans, like I mentioned before. So I was able to decrease my student loans by about $10,000. So just between paying off my student loans and increasing my retirement investments, that's already $28,000 of the a little bit over $30,000 that my net worth increased. So those were the two by far major factors in reaching this goal. So that was definitely my most exciting and the biggest achievement out of my goals for 2021, but I did have two others on my list at the beginning of the year that I want to touch on. So the second one, which actually kind of correlates with the net worth goal, but this was to get my student loan debt under $40,000. And this was actually the main goal that I had for myself when I started the year, before I realized how close I was to reaching the net worth goal, which makes sense because decreasing my student loans automatically helps with reaching the net worth goal as well. So this one didn't have as happy of an ending as the first one. I started the year with about $54,000 in debt, and to get it under $40,000, that would mean I'd have to pay $14,000 in debt payoff. And as I mentioned before in the net worth liability section, I only paid about $10,000. So I came up a little bit short for this goal, which is fine. I was okay with this because I knew when I set this goal at the beginning of the year that it was aggressive and that I would have to make a decent amount of extra payments. So my original plan had been to pay an additional $4,000 above my minimum payments. I actually ended up only being able to do about $2,000. So that's where the difference came from. And then also the interest that accumulated ended up being a little bit higher than I expected as well. So even if I had made that additional $2,000 in extra payments, I still believe I would have been a little bit above the $40,000 mark. And even so, $10,000 of debt payoff in a year is still a huge accomplishment and something that I'm proud of. So even though I didn't reach this bit of an aggressive goal, I'm still happy with the progress that was made. And then the last goal for 2021 is another one that didn't have a happy ending, but it was still on my list, so I thought I would touch on it. I originally at the beginning of the year wanted to add another $2,500 to my emergency fund. So I already had at the beginning of 2021, and I still have now, a $15,000 emergency fund, which for me is a solid 4 to 5 months worth of essential expenses. So I wanted to bump this up by $2,500 just to get to that 6-month mark. However, I quickly realized with how aggressive I was being with my student loan debt payoff that all of my income at the end of a month, all of like my leftover income was going towards that goal, and there just wasn't much, if any, to go towards a second goal. It was my priority to pay off the debt, so all of my extra money was going towards that. So throughout the first like 3 months of the year, I did put about $600 towards this, and then realized that I wanted to focus on the debt. I didn't think I was going to be able to accomplish both of these, and I just wanted to focus everything on the debt since that was my higher priority. So I ended up taking that $600 that I had set aside and putting it towards the extra payments towards my student loan. So I started and ended the year with a $15,000 emergency fund and didn't end up making any progress towards this goal, which is fine because that money was going to a better purpose. So those were all my goals for 2021. So now let's get into the goals for 2022, which ironically are very similar because my priorities haven't changed very much. So the first one, similar to my first one for last year, is going to be to increase my net worth, and now my goal is to hit 10K positive net worth. And I kind of learned my lesson a little bit last year with being super aggressive with my goals. So this one isn't actually all that aggressive. It's actually a bit conservative. So I did also make myself a stretch goal of 15K if I'm able to easily hit that 10K mark and have the ability to push past it a little bit. You may have noticed that I mentioned earlier that my net worth increased in 2021 by $30,000. So why is my goal for 2022 only $10,000 to $15,000? And there's a couple reasons for this. So I don't expect my retirement to increase as much as it did in 2021. And I also expect to have to use a little bit of my savings, which would not provide me with the same increases I saw in 2021. I do plan to still be very aggressive with the debt, so hopefully that side of things will stay the same, but the assets will be a little bit less than it was in 2021, I am expecting. So my monthly goal for this one is just to increase my net worth by about $1,000 a month. If I'm able to do that, then I will easily reach my $10,000 goal and maybe even be able to stretch to that $15,000 mark. So that's my monthly goal, and a large portion of that will be accomplished simply by making my student loan payments. So the next one, you may have guessed it, is another student loan milestone or goal. Like I said, I learned my lesson, so I made this one not as aggressive as last year. So for this year, my goal is to get under the $37,000 mark in student loans. So I ended 2021 with about $44,000 in student loan debt. So to get under that $37,000 mark would be about $8,000 in payments. And I plan to do this mainly just by making my minimum payments. I do have a pretty hefty minimum payment because I'm trying to pay these off as soon as possible. And then an additional $500 throughout the entire year and extra payments above my minimum payment will get me to this goal. And then this next one I'm excited about because this one's new. I didn't have anything like this last year. And so this next one's going to be about increasing my retirement investing, and not even increasing the dollar amount, but just diversifying the different accounts that I have. So this goal is a little bit of a two-parter. So the first part is just to open an IRA. So like I said, the only retirement account that I have is a 401k. So I want to open that additional account. And then for how much I'm going to put into this account, I was a little unsure about the amount at the beginning, but I decided on about $2,000, which I think I will be able to accomplish with my other goals, with balancing my other goals as well. And to do this, I would need to put about $300 per month into that account, but only for 6 months. So this is a goal that I plan to focus heavily on in the second half of the year. Of course, if I have the ability to do some in the beginning of the year, I will, but this will be a second half of the year focus, and my plan is to do about $300 a month. And finally, this last one is something that I've done and tracked and kept an eye on since I started tracking my finances, but I never officially made it a goal, and even sometimes I get a little bit lazy with tracking it just because it's just a number I like to keep an eye on. I never gave much thought to it. So this year I thought that I would make it official, set a specific goal, and stay on top of tracking it throughout the entire year. And that goal would be having 25% of my gross income going towards financial goals. So this is similar to a savings rate that a lot of people track. However, in my case, this amount of money is not going just towards savings. A large portion of it actually is going towards debt. So that's why it is financial goals. And this one I do think will challenge me a little bit. I didn't go back and calculate my percentage for the entire year last year, but I do know like my last couple of months I was averaging about 22%, maybe even 21%. So I do think that I will have to stay on top of this to reach it, but I also think that it's possible. And to help myself visualize how I will accomplish this goal, I wanted to break it down into smaller pieces, not just the overall 25% goal. So within that 25% goal, I kind of have two buckets. I have the main bucket, which is going to be debt payoff, and then I have my savings, retirement, investing, that kind of bucket, the increasing the assets side of things. So I'm balancing those two buckets within this money that's going towards my financial goals. So out of all of this money going towards financial goals, I want 75% of that to go towards debt payoff. That's my main priority. That's where most of my money is going to go. So it makes sense that that would have the higher percentage. So 75% going towards debt payoff, and then the other 25% going towards everything else, which mainly in my case for this year is going to be retirement. I don't have any specific savings goals other than my sinking funds, so the main area that will increase in this section will be retirement. So for example, let's say my gross income is $50,000, just to have easy round numbers. So if my gross income is $50,000, then right off the bat, 25% of that is going towards financial goals. So that would be $12,500. But you can break that amount down even further to be even more specific with your goals. So out of that $12,500, 75% is going to go towards debt. So that would be $9,375. And the other portion, 25%, would go towards retirement and savings. So that would be $3,125. So this is just one way that you can see the numbers and like the breakdown of how you would accomplish this goal. And then you can also see if the other financial goals that you have set for yourself align with these numbers. So in this scenario, it was about $9,000 going towards student loan debt. So do the other financial goals match that, or does something need to change? A lot of the time these goals are interconnected, and making progress towards one can actually help you reach another. So it's important to notice those connections and see how one metric or one goal might help you be able to set even more realistic goals in other areas as well. So that is a recap of my 2021 financial goals and what I have planned for 2022. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see other videos like this from me, and leave below in the comments one of your financial goals for 2022 and how you plan on accomplishing it. I'd love to see what you guys are working on. Also, make sure you follow me over on Instagram if you want to see more content from me in between videos. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.